Good morning, developers. If you are new to the channel, my name is Rob, and it is JavaScript Tuesday, the day that we look at the language itself. And we've been going through the updates to ECMAScript or JavaScript since 2015. ES6 was the big release that got all the press. So many great things have happened since then. Today we've got a little throwback to ES9, 2018, and the finally method, which belongs to promises. Just a little bit of background. If you need background on ECMAScript and JavaScript, I'll drop a couple links in the description. But Promises came out in 2015, and if you've only been writing JavaScript since then, you have no idea. Well, maybe you do. Maybe you don't use promises, but it was so insanely difficult to manage a whole bunch of asynchronous operations. It's not how people think, but it is the powerful thing that is JavaScript. Blocking JavaScript with bad code was not a good approach because it takes away what makes JavaScript good, special, powerful, etc. So the Promise API was huge, but it didn't go quite far enough. The next year, in 2016, we got async and await, and that was awesome because suddenly we could make our JavaScript make sense, but we could still let it be JavaScript. And there have been a number of great methods that have been added since then. So it already comes with race, came with promises when they were first released. Reject and resolve are part of that, and so is then. Most of this other stuff is new. I guess all was part of it, but all settled has come out since then. Any and finally, and back to finally here. I would like to compare all of them so that you have a frame of reference because they all kind of feel a little bit the same, or why would I use one over the other again? We'll start with the first one, which is finally. I'm not going to explain how promises work. If you don't know, I don't have a video as of the making of this one that covers them, but if and when I do, I'll drop one in there. You can always ask if for an update. But anytime you've got an operation that's going to get put on the event queue or is going to take time, JavaScript's not going to wait. Promises give us a nice API to be able to manage that effectively as a developer. They always come with a resolve and a reject, and you'll see that in a second here. But the finally method of promise instances, so you need a promise object, schedules a function to be called when the promise is settled, whether it's fulfilled or rejected. It immediately returns an equivalent promise object, allowing you to chain other promise methods. Okay, really what this comes down to is this is the combination of then and catch. So hopping over to our code quick, I've got an HTML file called finally.html. The link to this code will be in the description. But I've already got a style tag here for an input and then an input box just so you don't have to watch me write HTML and CSS, and then a script tag down here. I wish there were a better way than set timeouts and set intervals to simulate promises or async operations, but it's the most sensible, safe way, because if I give you an API, it might be down or might not work, or you might need credentials. A database is great, but that requires Node and you need to have your own database. So we'll just do it this way. We will do const, and I will call our variable a promise. And it will be a new promise. And as I said, promise callback always brings in resolve and reject. And hopefully you're aware of this. Resolve means the right thing happened. Here's your data. Okay, that's not a real complete explanation, but I'll put right in quotations. The catch is not going to run because that's what happens. Reject means something went wrong. Catch will run on the outside. Okay, really, maybe the simpler way to say it is resolve means then is going to run, and I'll go ahead and put that in. The then method will run down here. I'll put this on the next line, catch method will run. Okay, that's really the difference between these two. So let's do this. We'll do const timer equals set timeout. We are going to run our callback after 3 seconds. Okay, you can do this however you want to, but this is going to get immediately run. This isn't going to get run for 3 seconds. So this is an async operation. And inside here, we'll put a reject and say the timer ran out. Reject. In here, let's go grab our button. So we've got a B1. Let's put a timer on it. We'll do, let's do document.get element by ID. Grab B1. We will add an event listener to it. We'll add a click listener. What do you want to run? Well, let's do this. We'll just resolve. And we'll put inside of our resolve timer stopped resolved. Okay, so the whole thing here, we've got a button up here, line 10. As soon as our file loads up inside of our script, we're going to build this variable of promise. It is a new promise, which always, again, comes with resolve and reject. We're going to build a timer, so set timeout, wait 3 seconds, and reject. So that is going to kill the promise, and catch is going to run outside. If the user clicks on, in this case it's going to be me, but if the user clicks on the thing with the ID of B1, which is our button, then we're going to resolve. That is the end of our function. And down below our promise, so this is outside of a promise, it goes like this. We'll do a promise dot then. I'll put in there R, and we will console.log. I guess we can do R comma resolved ran. I guess we've already got resolved up there, but it's okay. After that, we'll do catch. I'll bring in the R as well, and we will console.log R comma reject ran. In both cases, I'm going to drop in here console.log promise settled, like that, and I'll copy that one and put it inside of our catch. Okay, so this is just ES6, right? This was nothing here. It was all available in 2015 and beyond. We haven't done anything new yet. Run our code, and I didn't click on the button. We got promise settled line 32. Refresh, click on it. We get 29. This we wrote twice. It's doing the same thing. Whether it rejects or resolves, it's going to do the same line. We want to eliminate that. Over to the docs for promise, if I search for settled, it is right there. A promise is said to be settled if it's fulfilled or rejected but not pending. So I don't care whether it resolved or rejected. I just know it's not pending anymore. That's exactly where we are at. Let's cut this down so we don't have this line twice. Back over to, while I am here, I need to set a good example here. This callback is still going to run after 3 seconds even though we resolve. The reject just isn't going to do anything. So let's put inside of our click handler here, let's clear our timeout, and we'll hand it timer. That's why I gave it a variable name. I want to set a good example here. Don't run the callback in the timeout because we resolved. All right, doesn't have anything to do with finally. It's just the way things should be done. Down here, what our goal is to cut out line 30 and cut out 32 and put at the end a dot finally. It doesn't take any arguments. I'll show you that in a second. Paste it in 33 now, one place. Refresh. We will get 33. I won't click on it. There we go. Refresh and click on it. We get promise settled either way. So back over to the docs. The parameters, this is our callback. That's what we ran at the end. It is a function to asynchronously execute when this promise is settled. Again, not pending. Its return value is ignored unless the return value is a rejected promise. The function is called with no arguments. The return value, we already talked a little bit about this, but it is an equivalent promise. All that means is that instead of having to do this, you don't have to have a promise dot for each one of these. You can, but this would be standard, and this is what you should do so it's obvious that this is all on the same promise. That's all that means, is that it requires an equivalent promise. Going in a little farther, this is useful, exactly as we said. When you got some processing or cleanup, and I find myself actually doing this a lot. There's a lot of times the same thing needs to happen either way, but you still need the then and the catch. You can run then with essentially your resolve callback and your reject. There are a few differences. The main thing that I guess I find is that it does not take any arguments, so it will not have a resolve value, and that's precisely the use case for finally. Just having all three of them there, I think, creates better readability. This is what happens when it resolves. This is what happens when it rejects. This is what happens either way. That pretty much does it for finally. Until the next one comes out, keep writing promises, or start writing them if you don't, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.